What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. We are here on a Sunday, June 6, 2021. Hope you're all having a great day wherever you are, having a good weekend. It's hot out there, and the playoffs continue to heat up. We get a Game 7 today, the only Game 7 of the first round. We also have a Game 1 starting between the Sixers and Hawks. We'll get to that as well. So 2 games today, one in the West, one in the East. Lot to do, lot to get to. Off of a rough day yesterday, the Milwaukee Bucks were dreadful and still almost found a way to cover late. But as we'll get into, there were just some things they didn't do real well. Let's get to our guest today. It's Spread Astaire. Spread, how you doing? For the first time, I think, I'll be honest, you've come on here and done some pretty good things. But yesterday, you and I just did not get it right with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, we missed it. Shooting variance happens, and the Milwaukee Bucks were dreadful from behind the arc. But if you watch the rest of the game, they didn't play that poorly. At the end of the first half, I said the shooting's got to turn around. About halfway through the third quarter, I'm like, maybe the shooting's just not going to turn around. They made a run there towards the end. Some of the things that we handicapped did happen. I mean, Milwaukee looked fantastic on the boards. They play good defense, but, we did mention there's always the possibility Kevin Durant can be any defense, no matter how good it is. And that was something that we fell prey to. But I'll tell you what, as a Milwaukee series backer, I wasn't necessarily that discouraged because my assumption is they have to start shooting better. We kind of saw this with the Clippers and the Mavs where they shot really bad in the game 1-2, and now they're on the verge of closing it out. So wouldn't say the series was over, but definitely a tough look for us for game 1 there.
Yeah, I mean, it was just hard to watch. I mean, 6 for 30 from 3. That's 20%. So in an NBA game, 48 minutes, you make 6 threes. I mean, that's just dreadful. And again, I mean, not that the three-point shooting, it was terrible, but, I mean, they were also 11 for 19 from the free throw line. I mean, continuously, Giannis Antetokounmpo just hurts you and stuff. Drew Holiday, 1 for how does Drew Holiday only get to the free throw line 3 times? I mean, it's just not good enough. Chris Middleton, 6 for 23, 0 for 5 from 3. I mean, he was just a non-factor. And look, you out-rebound the Nets. You played pretty well. James Harden only plays 1 minute, and you still lose. And that really kind of complemented the under. Once Harden went out, it was kind of turned into a blowout, and that was that. I mean, all in all, it was a third quarter. The third quarter, Milwaukee was horrible. I mean, he scored 23 points in one quarter. They're outscored by 13, and that was the difference in the game. So I think I agree, though. It's not one that I'm really too worried about. You'd have to expect it's only going to get better for the Bucks. They're not going to be 6 for 30 from 3. So they'll bounce back. Another game, I believe, Monday or Tuesday. I forget which day it is. But, we'll take a loss. First losing day for me in a long time. Okay, I had a lot of 1-1 days last week. I had some winning days as well. But, you're going to lose after a while. Look, you also throw in the fact that in Game 2, I mean, I got to tell you, Spread, like I'm already looking at just firing in on the Bucks. I mean, plus 108 tomorrow night. You also look at the fact that Blake Griffin, in 35 minutes, Blake Griffin, 18 points, 14 rebounds. He fouled out. Vintage Blake Griffin, I guess, but you'd have to imagine that's probably not going to happen again either. So, I'm all over. Like I'm about to play it right now. Bucks plus 108 second game. I'm taking the Bucks. I think it's a slam dunk of a play. But we'll get to that tomorrow. Let's get into today. We welcome you in. We thank you for watching. A lot of people check this out on the replay. But if you're checking it out live, thanks for joining us here. And we'll get through each game. Kind of different situations today, obviously. 2 of the best words in sports, a Game 7. We'll get into that. But we also have a Game 1. And there are some questions about what's going on with Joel Embiid. This number has moved up over really the course of the last half an hour. I think it's all kind of just placating. Joel Embiid's not going to play in this game. Unless something happened where God touched him and he's automatically better now. I don't foresee it being something that's going to happen. And I don't see it being very smart, frankly. There is, at least in a game one, look, spread. No team just throws away game one. Every game's important, but Joel Embiid needs to be fully healthy. Now, I don't know how healthy he is. I think they're kind of talking about he's a lot more healthy than he is. I think he'll be out a few games, but we're going to see going forward. Let's get into it. 1:10 Eastern down in South Philadelphia. You got the Sixers hosting the Hawks. Game one. Sixers are 3.5 spread, minus 114. So that would envision this line going up to 4 possibly, maybe by the end of the show. Total 220.5. Obviously, Philly beats the Washington Wizards. Hawks beat the Knicks in what, 5 games? I believe it was 6 games. Sorry. Hawks come in. We obviously know Trae Young. He's been terrific. But this team has played very well. Defensively, I thought they've looked really good. I don't think they get the credit that they deserve defensively. But we know in the NBA, it can't just be one player. You need multiple players to beat teams. But it's important to talk about, the Hawks did some good things against a pretty damn good Knicks defense. This is obviously a very good Sixer defense. It's better than what the Hawks were. Let me ask you, though, without Embiid, do you think they're kind of on similar levels, Sixers and Knicks defensively?
Yeah, probably. Knicks probably have a little better rim protection there with Noel, but his penchant for fouling isn't good. Sixers probably a little stronger there on the perimeter because they can go in a lineup with no weaknesses where, New York, when they needed to score, so there's always a Burks or a Rose out there that they had to be hiding on a three-point shooter. So I would say, yeah, without Embiid, they're pretty similar. So so you don't think Embiid's going to play at all, right?
No, I do not.
Yeah, so this line movement indicates to me that people think that he's going to play. And as far as resting him, meniscus tear, right? I mean, these things aren't going to heal, right? It has to be surgery. So it's not like 2 days of rest would help him, like maybe AD on the groin and stuff. That's the only reason I think that he'll give it a go today.
He might give it a go, but I don't think he's going to be effective. So, listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when we look at the Sixers with Embiid and without, so when you're looking at net rating, I mean it's wild. It's very difficult to stop the Sixers with Embiid healthy. With him not healthy, they're just kind of they're just a normal to average team, in my opinion.
Right.
Now, again, you can't knock the way Tobias Harris has played. He's been terrific. Can you trust Ben Simmons? Can you trust him to, it seems, is there a more inconsistent player than Ben Simmons? Some nights he looks awesome. The next night he's not a factor at all. When you look at Danny Green, can you trust him?
I think he's key, right? I mean, he's one of those variance guys. Like we got killed by the variance guys in the Bucks yesterday. If you're on Atlanta and Embiid does not play, Danny Green's still a worry. If you see him out there and he's 3 for 4 in the first half, that's not good for you. I think that he actually has a lot to do here with how well they play because they're going to need his defense. So if he's scoring on the offensive end, that's huge for Doc Rivers. If he's not scoring, it's really going to put Doc in a bind because he can be really, when he's not shooting well, he can really hurt your offense.
You look at Steph Curry over the last 7 games that he's played. 4 of them he scored more than 15 points in those games. So this is a guy that I've talked about. He was one of the prop guys I was betting a lot towards the end of the season. The totals are just too low on Seth Curry. He's become more of a focal point of this offense. With Embiid out, really outside Tobias Harris, he's your go-to offensive player, right? He's the guy that's going to get buckets for your group. He's going to play a lot of minutes. You look at in that final game against Washington, played 31 minutes, scored 30 points. He was 3 for 6 from 3, 10 for 17 from the floor. When Seth Curry is asked to play, let's say 25 or more minutes, he is likely going to hit 15 points. He just shoots too many shots to not do it. His volume from 3 is too high. I think he continues to be a focal point. That will be a selection that I'm going to be on today. Seth Curry over. I know the numbers moved up a bit. We were betting it at one point at 9.5. We're just pillaging that number. Bet it at 12.5 a couple times. I think 14.5 is about as high as I want to go with Seth Curry, just because I think 15 is right kind of where I think he's kind of capable of. If he's on the floor 25 to 30 minutes, I think he's going to have an opportunity to do it. Obviously, he blew it out of the water in that final game against Washington. But I guess you really just have to identify whether you believe Embiid is a factor. And he isn't. It's clear he's not going to be. I mean, if Joel Embiid comes out today and gives him 30 in this game, you got to build a statue for the guy. It's just that simple. I know he feeds off the crowd. I know that he'll feed off the guys on the side of the court that'll tell him to get out there and play, and we need him today. And he'll feed off that. He's that kind of guy. And my concern is, Spread, that over the last 5-ish years, Joel Embiid is red. He's never available in the playoffs. He's always hurt. You can't trust him. There was talk in this town to ship him out of here because he's not healthy enough in the playoffs. So that's starting to wane a little bit. I think it's been clear, Spread. Say what you want about Doc Rivers. He's a great guy, great coach, but I don't think he really has a lot of say in what the players do. I mean, he's made it clear he doesn't discipline Ben Simmons at all in any case. He doesn't care if Ben shoots. He doesn't. He's pretty free flowing with his opinions. Look, at the end of the day, I really like what I've seen out of the Atlanta Hawks. Look, I might be wrong here. I was wrong yesterday on taking a dog, but I don't believe the Sixers are very effective without Joel Embiid on both ends. We have to go back to when we didn't see Joel Embiid, particularly against Washington. What did we see, Spread? We saw in Game 1, Washington do whatever they wanted. They got into the lane. Ish Smith was destroying them. Alex Lynn destroying them. You look at that game that they won on Memorial Day. The Wizards did whatever they wanted when Joel Embiid wasn't in there. Embiid is not going to play in this game. If he does, which from what I am seeing now, it looks like he's officially out from what I'm seeing here. And look, I said it yesterday, if you actually believed he was going to play, truly, I have a bridge or a house to sell you in Nebraska with an oceanfront view. It wasn't going to happen. I'm on the 3.5 here. I'm going to grab it before that number moves. I'm going to take the Hawks. I think they win this basketball game. This team is better than they're giving credit for. I love the ancillary players they have, whether it's Lou Williams, Kevin Huerter, John Collins, all those guys. I think Capella is a guy that I really like in this matchup to catch those lobs, do that defensive stuff at the middle of the key, not allow Ben Simmons to get to the rim. John Collins, I think he's a tough matchup for Philadelphia in this game as well. I like what I see from the Hawks. I think their defense continues to travel. I think on both ends of the court, the Philadelphia 76ers are hampered without Joel Embiid. I'm on the Hawks today, plus the 3.5. I like them plus 2.5. I'll take them plus 3.5.
I'm with you here. I like the Atlanta Hawks. Let me touch on some stuff you said. Let's go back to props and the Sixers. You talked about Seth Curry. I mentioned him with Danny Green. I like Curry a lot more than Green because I feel every shooter is streaky, but he's not like Danny Green where it's feast or famine, right? I'm not saying a Green prop won't cash. I'm just saying it feels like rolling the dice because you don't know what you're going to get. With Seth, I feel much more comfortable that if he gets the attempts that we project, you will go over. Where Green, he'll throw 0 for 8s out for you, and you'll miss an over 2.5, right? So I do like the Curry. Embiid, I do agree here, right? It's very similar to the Anthony Davis situation, right? What is this guy hearing over and over again? And I said it before, the NBA media, I don't know why. They don't protect their players like the NFL does. You know, when NFL guys hurt, those guys are on there praising him, saying he's a warrior, fighting through injury, couldn't make it. NBA just wants to tear these guys down, which I think is a shame, and I think we may see it tonight. So I saw officially out here in the chat. I didn't see it on Twitter, but, because we're talking right now, I don't have time to really search properly. But even if he's ruled in, that doesn't necessarily mean he's 100% because look what we just saw with Anthony Davis. So I'm with you. I'm on the Hawks. We saw it last night. If a team shoots well from behind the arc, they can win despite rebounding deficiencies, defensive deficiencies, and I trust Atlanta to shoot well. They have more marksmen. So without Embiid, it's really going to be tough for Philadelphia to get it done. And you're right. I just don't trust him to show up. And if he is there, will he be 100%?
Yeah. Exactly, and I think when you look at the Sixers, okay, it's obviously very hard to calibrate what you buy into their shooting percentages because again, this is with Embiid, okay, this is the full season, right? As far as from a 2-point percentage standpoint, the Sixers 53%. Atlanta is 50. I mean, they're both kind of similar. I know, obviously, when you're taking away Embiid, though, I mean, this is just to me, a different team. Atlanta is a better offensive efficiency team than Philadelphia with Embiid. At the end of the day, they're just not getting enough respect. And look, I'm not saying that they're better than the Sixers, but without Embiid, I think these teams are very similar without Embiid. And let me ask you, I mean, there's no way on God's green earth you're going to tell me that Atlanta, fully healthy against an Embiid-less Sixers is better. The Sixers are not better than Atlanta. They just aren't. Without Embiid on the court, it's just not true.
Yeah, I think they're going to have problems keeping up with the scoring. Of course, we will be susceptible to the hot shooting that does happen in the NBA. But I think Atlanta has so many more shot creators, and their 3-point percentage should be so much higher. I think it's going to be rough for Philadelphia to keep up without their captain.
One of the chatters is saying Simmons can lock up can lock up Trae Young. I mean, yeah, we heard that in the series against the Knicks. I mean, how good the Knicks defense was, right? Look, I'm watching pregame here locally, and Embiid is warming up. This guy in the chat is now again. I in a way kind of agree with this guy because I don't think he's going to play either. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it's all just kind of smoke screens. So we're going to agree. We agreed yesterday on dogs. We'll see if it works today.
Yeah.
Someone's saying Knicks are a fraud. I mean, you could say what you want, Mark. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that they aren't, but you can't knock defensively that they weren't good because they were. I just, you have to go back, and I think a lot of people aren't going back to Philadelphia's spread against Washington in the pockets of games where we didn't see Joel Embiid. So
no, that's the thing. If I think that if Embiid was 100% healthy, I would be considering laying 6 to 7.5. That's where I would have this line set. Right? I mean, that's how big of a swing he is. So we're not saying this Philadelphia team is terrible. We're saying, like any championship contender, if you take off an MVP caliber player, unless it's the Brooklyn Nets, you're not going to be able to absorb that loss. We saw it in Los Angeles, and we would see the same thing in Denver if Jokic went down. Right? Milwaukee with no Giannis. So we're just saying this. NBA is built around superstars. Philadelphia lost their superstar.
Exactly. Do you think he can stop Young? No, I don't. He's a great defender, but Trae Young's a great offensive player. I kind of after that series against the Knicks, I've always been a young guy, but a Trae Young guy, but I'm even more of one now. I think he's terrific. Love watching him play. I think he's going to turn into quite a villain in this town too. I mean, they hate Russell Westbrook. I think they're going to hate Trae Young after this series as well. I mean, this is the anniversary of the step over. Allen Iverson, Tyronn Lue. Could you imagine if Trae Young does something like that and steps over somebody? Could he really be? Is he really? He knows it went on today. Someone told him.
Yeah.
Could be really interesting. Hunter says Kevin Huerter over points. Okay. Well, that's a good one. Kind of picking one of those auxiliary guys. I do like Seth Curry over 14.5 points. That's going to be a smaller play for me. I definitely like that one as well. I've been happy with his performance, and I think he's going to have to give them 20. You're going to need something particularly strong from Seth Curry today. He's kind of what you can depend on. I mean, let me ask you, Spread. I mean, it's not even close on who you can depend on, him or Danny Green. I'm taking
Right.
Seth Curry any day of the week.
Right.
How important DeAndre Hunter is. Yeah, look, DeAndre Hunter, another very, kind of auxiliary piece for them. Definitely can hit a three. Good defender. And he's a good individual defender, which is what you need. Look, if you don't have him, obviously, that hurts. But look, I don't think it's a game deciding thing. But he's shooting. I think he was on the court, game time decision, then kind of like Embiid. So You'd like to get his offense. I mean, he was very good in that final closeout game against the Knicks. But is he Embiid important? Of course not. All right, let's get to the other game. Game 7, 3:40 Eastern, putting it on prime time, but not really putting it on prime time. Clippers laying 6.5 against the Mavs. Total is 211. We talked about this yesterday, Spread. You and I both kind of agreed that this seemed like a few too many, didn't it? But then when you look further into inspecting this, when you're looking at this series, each winner has won by 6 or more points in every game, right? So no game has been close. They've all been decided by that, 7 to 20 plus point margin. So when you're looking at the number, the spread hasn't mattered much. I'm looking today at saying to myself, here's what I've seen in this series. We've talked about this. The Mavs have been very good in the first couple of games in this series. And then Tyronn Lue played like a coach and made some decisions. And he went smaller and bringing in Batum and playing more Marcus Morris, playing more Kennard, playing more man. All that stuff was helpful. And shout out to us on this show, because I think it was like the second game of the series. One of us, it was me and someone else, I don't know if it was you, but one of us mentioned, we need to see more Kennard. I want to see more Trey Mann. And they did it, right? They filled that power vacuum. You look at Luka Doncic in this series, and what concerns me about playing the Mavs here, does Luka go off and do his thing? Maybe. But he didn't do real well against Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, we forget, is an all-level player. He's an all-level performer. Drops 45 the other night and shuts down Luka Doncic. Pretty impressive. Luka's also been very poor in the fourth quarter in this series. I think he shot 20% in the fourth quarter in this series. It doesn't bode well if you're looking to bet on the Mavs here. That's concerning. Obviously, it's a Game 7. You're going to get a lot. But I worry about the other players on the Mavs. I just don't really like them compared to what I have on the Clippers. Look, I don't love the Clippers players outside of Paul George and Kawhi, but they're better than I think what I'm getting from the Mavs. I don't necessarily trust Porzingis. I don't trust Jalen Brunson. I like Finney-Smith, but I like him more defensively.
Yeah, I mean, you brought the key point of my handicap, and that's Doncic is shooting 20% from the fourth quarter. And if you watch the game, that number fits exactly what you're seeing, as he is getting exhausted from carrying the team for the first 3 quarters, and he's wearing out. And Rick Carlisle's in trouble because every time he goes to the bench, the Clippers go on a run. So he's got to keep him out there, so he doesn't have to make up too much of a deficit. But he's just wearing him down, and we're seeing it. It's not like he's getting, wide open shots or looking great and energetic and missing. We're noticing that he is dragging, and when he does that, he does seem to settle a little more for some of the jumpers. And when it goes in, it looks great. But when you're tired and you're trying to hit 35 feet step back, it gets rough here. So I don't love this game. I definitely love the Atlanta look that we talked about a lot more. But I'll lean the Clippers here because I just don't trust Luka in the fourth quarter. And now we're at Game 7. This was the quickest turnaround in the whole series. Fatigue could be even more of an issue here today. So I'll tuck the Clippers here to win and cover the spread.
It's interesting. Kawhi Leonard the other night took 25 shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the most shots he's taken since he was with Toronto.
Yeah.
So, this is a guy that he needs to take shots. He needs to take the game over. We saw how that went the other night. Right. He was a lead on the defensive end. I'm really high on this one. I'm playing the Clips today. I'll lay the 6.5 here in a game that I think they win by double digits. I think they kind of, I wouldn't say run them off, out of the building, but I think they control this. I just don't think Dallas is ready to compete. Another year where Mark Cuban does not make the right decision in bringing in one other scorer. You should have gone after like a DeMar DeRozan or Norman Powell or somebody like that. I think they could have helped considerably. Josh Richardson has not necessarily worked out here. It's just – and look, we have to throw out the fact also that, we all know how good the Clippers offensively are, but, they have really, really, really turned it up defensively as usual. This has been a very good defensive group in this series. They've really figured it out on that end. And look, again, credit to Tyronn Lue for making some of the decisions that they needed to make and getting it done. So,
Jeff, I want to get your thoughts on the total. So
yes.
the side, right? It's getting pretty even money. It's been 6.5 or 6. It touches 6 every time it touches 6. It goes right back to 6.5. But this total's been just all over the place. It's open, I think, at 214. Went all the way down to 209 yesterday. Now it's back to 211. What did you think on the total here?
I mean, each of these games have been under 100 possessions, and in
Yeah.
some significantly lower than 100 possessions. It's a game 7. My concern is I think a blowout will hurt this total, where it's just like a lot of garbage buckets late. It's so low. I could have had this one like 110, 104, 101 or something. I think it's right around there, 112, 103, something like that. I think it's close, but I wouldn't be betting this. I mean, do they really hold Dallas to like under 100? Are they that that elite defensively tonight? I don't know.
Yeah.
I lean over, but it's not anywhere near my card. I'm not playing it for $5. I'm not playing it at all.
All right.
I'd only have an interest in the over, just because I know how efficient I think the Clippers are. I think Dallas is pretty damn efficient as well. You got you got a few elite shot makers on these teams, so. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because if this total were up, 218, 217, maybe I have more interest. But, it seems like the books have adjusted to this series a bit, and they've moved it where they should. And
Yeah, I think game 1 was 220, wasn't it? I mean, it's dropped 9
yeah, I
points
mean,
over
you've
the
seen
course
a lot
of the series.
Yeah, we've seen 217s, 216s. Yeah, they should have did this in that Portland series. I don't know if it would have mattered because they flew over. But yeah, I'm gonna rock with the Clippers here. I just think, again, a lot of casual bettors are gonna look at this and say, "Wow, 6.5 points in a closeout game, in a game 7. I got to take the dog. This game will be close." Yeah, I'm not so sure. Again, the spread does not matter in this series. If the favorite wins, the favorite covers. It's that simple. By the way, Sixers have moved down to 3. Joel Embiid's not playing, folks. Again, I remember, though, there was a game towards the end of the season. Bradley Beal looked like he tore his ACL the night before. Next game he came out. I said he wasn't going to play. He dropped, 45, I think, in that game. So
Yeah.
All right, for me, best bets today, I'm going to take the Atlanta Hawks. I got the 3.5. I'm also going to play the LA Clippers, minus 6.5. Spread, any best bets for you today? Any props that you have your eye on? Any totals, spreads? What do you got?
Well, no, I like both of what you talked about. I'm playing both of those, and just to add one on, just so we get one other thing, I will take the under in that Clippers game. Despite the efficiency, I think it's going to be really slow paced towards the end of the game. As the tension rises, we'll see more of the milking of the shot clock, maybe some nerves on these legs. Like I also said, quickest turnaround, morning start, usually lends itself to an under to begin with. So I get a slow first quarter. I already know I'm going to get a slow fourth quarter. I feel pretty good about it. So I will take under. I was getting a little worried when it dropped to 209. Now back to 211. I'm comfortable again. I'll take the under.
Very good, very good. Couple of boosts at FanDuel if you're interested. Keep in mind, FanDuel does have the super boost. Trae Young to score 30 or more points versus the Sixers. You can boost that to 250. Okay, when we look at Trae Young, right, he was very regularly in the high 20s, got the 36 in that final game, hit over 30 a couple of times. Does he have that villain type role today for them? Does he take a lot of shots? Someone's saying Joel Embiid will play. Okay, again, that doesn't mean he's going to be a factor. Look, we all know what's going on here, right? Joel Embiid has read the headlines. He doesn't want to be.
Yeah, Anthony Davis played too, right?
Yeah, exactly. We heard that. Listen, go bet it then. I don't. I know for a fact he's not 100%. So, so do what you guys want, but I'm not gonna be bullied into it. It's not gonna happen. I don't think he's a factor. Look, if he has 40 today, so be it. But I don't think so. Spread. What do you think about the 30 or more? You think it's too high?
For Trae Young?
Plus 250.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Do they have one of those to Tyler does really well on FanDuel. FanDuel offers the best prices on the performance doubles by far. So if you can also, I do like that, and then I'll bet you get a really good number. It's like Trae Young 30 plus and Atlanta wins.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's a good point. That might be worth a flyer.
Yeah.
What are they thinking here, Sixer-wise? I mean, they're known to have just a horrific medical staff, so it's not surprising that they're doing this. I mean,
I think you made a good point, though. I think it's Embiid's decision, and I think it's the same thing.
Of course it is. Doc Rivers isn't telling him anything.
Yeah, but we have a media that's just pressuring these guys, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, if he has a huge game and it propels them to a win, then the lure of Joel Embiid will get even better. But I think I'm not going to say he's salty, but he hasn't had an MVP type of year. He didn't play in certain games, and that hurt him in the MVP thing. We'll see. It's going to be fascinating to watch. But I think there's one thing we can agree on, you and I, Spread. He's not 100%. So
yeah.
Good luck with that. All right. Papa Granilla says Sixers by 15, Mavs by 5. Well, if you're right on that, then I'm going to go in too. So I guess we'll see how that goes. Spread, anything else you're betting today? You betting any baseball, anything else, just basketball?
Nope, just basketball today. I have been doing the French Open, but the NBA's taken all my attention. Just so much stuff going on. I'll jump back into it next week with the French Open, but it's just going to be NBA for me today. Real quick, what is going to be your lean for tomorrow night? I mean, I know I'll be looking forward to watching the show, but did you have a lean for tomorrow night's game with the Nuggets?
Yeah, we haven't talked much about that series. I think game one, I got to still kind of look into it a little bit.
Okay.
Probably going to lean over in this series. I'm getting the feeling that this is going to be one of those efficiency type series where maybe the total is just a little too low and they both find ways to get into the 110s. Not crazy high scoring, but like 111, 109 games like that. I think it's going to be all about the number in these games. They'll be close, but I'm definitely taking the Bucks. That's a bet I actually already just made. So
yeah, well, I'll be looking forward to watching you guys tomorrow morning and see where you land on that one because I think this one's fascinating as well. I'm leaning towards the Denver side. I love the series prop, but I don't know if how involved I'll get in game one. Like I said, with these road teams. Like Milwaukee, if they win tomorrow, right, they're feeling pretty good going back, right, regardless of what happened last night. So when you're a road team, you do have a little bit of a cushion there because you just need to get 1-1 and get back home. So be interested to see. But I lean Denver for the series.
Very good. Chat, yep, we got it. We are aware. Embiid starting. I'm watching it right now. It's like some of these people, like, something will happen an hour later. Hey, did you hear about what happened? We all heard it. How many people? By the way, it's so funny too because this number was 3.5. Embiid gets announced, it drops to 3. Now it's off the board.
I wonder what it opens back up at.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait around and see.
Hawks money line's up to plus 163 for me.
Yeah, let's see what we're opening up. I would have guessed 4.5. We'll see here.
Yeah, that's what the plus 163 would indicate. Yep, 4.5, but plus 156 on the money line now at bookmaker.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't get the best line, but I'm pretty happy with where I am with it. We'll see how it goes. Keep in mind, since Nate McMillan took over, the Atlanta Hawks are 31-12. Mark Rosado says, "LOL, he's starting." Yeah, we're aware, Mark. Thanks. How many times are people going to tell me that? Okay, let's get out of here, Spread. You can find Spread Astaire on Twitter, at Spread Astaire. As always, we appreciate him coming on the last couple of days. Go check out what Spread's doing. Always doing a lot of NBA stuff, always doing a lot of hoop stuff. So check him out on Twitter, at Spread Astaire. You can follow me on Twitter, at Jeff Nadu. Check out my Mob podcast, The Sit Down. We got another episode coming out on Wednesday. If you like the Mob, you enjoy Mob movies, Mob history, check that out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Pods, wherever you get your podcasts. That's that. That's that for the show. Enjoy the games today. Remember, they get started about 1 o'clock Eastern. So make sure you get your wagers in. Make sure you're aware of the times if you're on the West Coast or wherever you are. So thanks for watching. This has been the Hoops Hour. We're presented by PicksWise and powered by FanDuel. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. Blackjack Fletcher will join me here on a Monday. Have a great night. See you later.